in UK, so they
So why are
teach
they
it in
giving it to
schools.
them? Like that means for me, I feel that's encouraging them to do stuff.
Sorry, there's different schools of thoughts. But I know that when they gave it out, when my daughter was in was it 8 or 9? I know she didn't take it, but she told me about it. She said, "Oh, they came to our school, they gave this out today." I've been at family planning clinics, not for myself, but I've been there before. I've seen school age children there. I just don't mind my business because of the nature of what I do in terms of young people. And I asked, and the person said to me, "I know the girl, I know her mom," but she said, "I dare not tell her mom she's been to the family planning clinic today." So they do it, and also they give some injections in secondary here. And one of the injections I know they give the girls, which they've started giving the boys now, I don't know the medical name, but it's to prevent like almost like a cervical, you know, I don't want to say it wrong because if I don't have my full information, I don't like saying what I think it is. But there definitely is an injection, and the essence of them giving it to them in secondary school is to mitigate against sexually transmitted diseases. So you've got to be speaking to your kids. I tell you guys, I can't say this enough. You've got to be speaking to these children. You've got to make sure they're your friends. Nobody's saying don't be firm. Be
100%.
firm with them.
Let me tell you what happened recently. So there's this my family friends that we had not seen in a while. So during summer holiday that they came over, so I realized that her son, she's got two boys. Her son is, I want to believe, he's like 16 or maybe 15. I can't remember the age, but he's still in secondary school. I think SS3. So he's going to uni soon. The conversation with his mom and my sister, because he's also close to my sister, they were talking about girls, like his girlfriend. Oh, are you no more dating that girl? And then he was really like, he was open to them, like, oh no, she because she's my crush and my other friend. So he was gisting us. I was the newbie there, so he was gisting us, and I was really interested. Guess what? So he has some other friends that their moms are also friends with his mom. Listen to this. So those ones are gay. Do you get? And they're actually doing it in the hostel. And this is an expensive school. I think British International. So very one of those big schools in Nigeria. So they're actually doing it in the hostel, and he told his mom. So the mom knows about it, and the mom, she's like confused. She's there's a dilemma. Like, should she tell her friends that this is what your sons are doing? So she was asking us at first when they were talking about the girlfriend thing. Me, I was wondering, like, why are you encouraging your son? So she now told me that this is the reason why I'm encouraging him to have girlfriend instead of the boys. You get? So the boy now started talking about that, yeah, both of them, they're move away. They're both of them. So now asking you, do you think she should tell the mothers? You get? If it's very
See,
well.
sometimes you've got to be extremely careful because some parents don't have an issue with that. Does that make sense? So well done, Betty. So in the comment section, I'm coming, sorry, Lilibet. Betty's told us the name of the vaccine. It's HPV, and it's to prevent things like STIs and blah, blah, blah. But way back when I know they were giving it, it was initially to girls, and then they moved it on now. They are now beginning to give boys, So you've got to be really in tune with your children. I can't say this enough, because if you don't start from when they're young, how are they going to tell you when they're in secondary school and the hormones kick in? Because your child, sometimes they will send you a parent mail. Some people miss the parent mail. They don't read it. You've got to read these things. I know when they were giving it in the schools, before my kids took it many years back, I consulted with my brother, because he's a doctor, to say, what are your thoughts on this? And I also consulted with some other, doctor friends, just to be 100% sure. Because some people, they give these injections and you don't know what the aftermath or the the knock-on effect would be. So it's absolutely crucial that you engage your children and you speak to them regularly, ask them about their day. Don't say things like, how was school today? Of course, they're going to either say fine or not fine. It's better you say, tell me a bit about your school about school today. Tell me something. How was school today? No, not how was school, but something that is open ended. Describe how lovely school was to me today, that sort of thing. And then you might say, oh, it was lovely, mom, because I did XYZ, but it wasn't too lovely because this person did XYZ. But if you ask them close questions, even when they're tired, they'll just say it was fine. Okay, yes, yes. And also you want to train their minds, higher order thinking, critically thinking things through. Don't just ask simple, basic, close questions. Describe to me how it feels like if you don't go to the party. It's okay to say you're not going to that party, but tell me a bit more about, how this makes you feel so that I can understand. Things like that, so that they can pour themselves out to you. They learn to empty themselves to you. But Lilibet, on that other note, what you were saying, well, I always learn to try and mind, and especially in this UK, I do try to mind my business, but I think for me, it's more to do with maybe the nature of my job. But if I have a closeness to someone, but I've learned, I'm not even to, no matter the closeness, I've once said to someone I was really, really close to that, let's check your child out. I think I could help you. I think there's something wrong, blah, blah, blah. And the person just told me off really big time and stopped talking to me. The person actually told me off really big time and stopped talking to me. And if don't ask me what they said, because they said it in Yoruba, but I know it was Ebu Gidi Gidi, as in Ebu Gidi Gidi. In fact, I had to say to my mom, I think I've got myself into trouble. Or at the time, I know I repeated it to my mom, some of the things, and she told me, but Opumi, as in, it wasn't small Yoruba insult, it was big, big ones. So one day, I happened to be at an event that school children were, going to do something or do a performance. And that person's child just happened to be one of those children on that day. And all the things I had said, I think I observed, because I'm not, the specialist in certain areas, that child did it on that day, on that stage. And I was there as a visiting person, guest, to represent, the people I work with or work for. Do you know at the end of it, this person, but what I'm saying is she ran to me after it, held me before I could even go in my car, and was crying and saying, please help me. And I could understand, and I did help the person. I'm never messing around. The person the child is doing beautifully well. At this point, the child is actually in a really good, grammar school, solid. But then she said, just help me, tell me what we could do. And I'm not telling you I'm a magician. I'm not telling you I wave wands. I'm just saying sometimes when the right intervention or support is in place, it would narrow. It might not take everything away, but it would narrow. But this child is excelling, doing very well in secondary. And I'm so impressed and proud of, what that child is able to achieve, because I'm giving it to the child, even though the parents are absolutely amazing parents. And I could understand where she was coming from. But I'm easy with forgiving. I really am very easy. You can't work with young people and not be, have a heart of forgiveness and restorative approach. So yeah, we did some things together. I got them in to get some, referrals done. What we're talking about in a space of maybe 2 years, we were able to start narrowing gaps and turning things around. So I'm really impressed that child is doing well. But Obumi Kidigon. Well, you can see that it's paining me, because I can count on one hand how many times in life people have insulted me. It's not plenty, it's not plenty. But
Did you add Aries to that? Because Aries abused you.
did she? Oh, poor girl. Did she?
Yes,
No,
now.
Gori. I've never heard it.
We laughed about it.
Oh, don't worry. It's
Aries.
Gori. I don't listen to her. I don't leave this place, so I don't even see those things. And I remember Dukia saying something like, "Whoa, I don't give her the light of day." And I said, Dukia, you too know me.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
So
I don't
if you were
really.
in that lady's shoes, because of course her
I
son,
would not talk. Oh, I just told you somebody abused my
but
whole.
her son is close to there. I mean, they come to her house, they like
Okay.
that. You get
Thank
what
you
I'm saying?
very much. UK Lava. UK. The person I'm talking to you, that the person really insulted me and all of that, is a Nigerian. Oh. It
Yeah.
wasn't Oyibo. It wasn't an Oyibo friend. Oh.
Mm.
No, me, I've learned to mind my business. So I
I know
might
it's
maybe start
actually hard
doing
to
things.
say.
And sometimes, to be honest with you, Lilibet, the parents know.
You think so?
Sometimes, so sometimes they know.
Ah, God, I beg
They
you.
know it would be really great if we could have other people like contribute to this, so that it's not just like a two
Yeah,
person.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I can see the comment section is moving. But sometimes parents know. Sometimes they sense it, but they can't bring themselves to believe it.
yeah.
But at
Discuss it,
other
Abby.
times, when you tell them, it's how you tell them. Okay, let me give you an example. Nigerians especially. If I saw a Nigerian, like if I met you and I met your kids with you and all of that, and they didn't say hello to me, for example, and you didn't tell them to say hello to me, for example, I would respect it because maybe to them I'm a stranger. Do you get what I'm saying? And maybe you don't want that familiarity or kiniko. But Nigerians, they might say, Shay, you can't greet somebody ni. Amamade you leko. It's all shades of wrong. Because in the first place, you might not even trust me that much to want them to associate with me. So I've got to give it, the first chance. Then the second time we meet, I might now say, oh, I won't even say you're omolek. I would just say, oh, it looks like your children don't really they don't take to me. That's a nice way of saying they don't, give you that vibe of hello. They don't have to say auntie. I'm not that kind of person. But at least just to say hello, I might say, oh, it looks like your children don't take to me. That's a really nice way of saying, won't kill me, but instead, all of those primitive behaviors, people need to start learning to refine it. So, in a nutshell, I tell you something, most of those parents, they know that their child is one way inclined, but the child they have is the child they have, and they still love their child. But the only problem they have is they don't know how to express it to other people. Does that make sense? They don't know how to express it. They feel it's a thing of shame for them. But really, if you show those children love, they will come back. They will come back. I give you an example. So part of the laws or the statutory things released in UK is now saying that if a child says they want to be one kind, yeah, that they should try and discourage the child for as long as they can to make them see reason. And the reason they've actually brought this new thing in is because when in the first place they were letting them just do it like that, there's so many of them now on a waiting list because they want to reverse either the procedure, or they want to they want to, it's difficult to reverse, but some of them are now even having kidney that they want to buy themselves because they think they've gone too far, they can't reverse it. So now the encouragement is Shesurufumo, try and educate them, try and mold them this way, try and mold them that way. And sometimes I've seen it work, especially in cases where it's been done. I've seen it work. I really have seen it work. So what every child needs is just that love. And to be honest with you, let me go back to my RSC talk. Now, there's RSC is just relationship and SCX education. Now, every school has to do it. It's a statutory requirement. Every school has to do it. However, the SCX part of it is not mandatory at primary age or primary level. However, what a lot of parents don't understand is you can actually start teaching SCX without it being the mind of an adult, even from when your children are babies. A lot of you do it without even realizing it. So when you have your baby and they go, oh, congratulations, is it a boy or a girl? And you say, oh, it's a boy, it's a girl. That is SEX education because you're saying the gender of your child. And then when your child is like tiny and you say, you're a good boy, you look at you, good, all of that, it is SEX education because you're telling them who they are. But the problem is a lot of people don't do that enough with their children when they're young. So by the time the child mixes with other people, other children, other people in other places, they become confused. you've got to be mindful that your babies, you put them in nurseries, you put them with childminders. I've never been an advocate of a childminder. I've always believed in a nursery because it's an establishment that has other workers and plenty, eyes to see what other people are doing. If it's a childminder, you drop your child with a childminder, you don't know who lives with the childminder. You don't know whether it is a, pedo. You don't know whether it is somebody who's been sanctioned under the laws not to be around children and all of that. Although there are checks, but the question is, does everybody use a registered minder? Because that's another thing. And this is where sometimes some of these things are picked up. And also, some of these things can be picked up from like a foster home.
Baby,
So if something,
sorry, sis. That was the
yeah.
reason they registered Baba Jesha, so that we can know.
Yes, absolutely, Cindy, spot on. These things you need to know. Now, there's a part of this UK where people, they keep them there. I'm not going to say the specific part of, but they actually keep them there. They house them there. And those are the repeat ones. Now, some of them actually do get tagged because you won't see their essay. But some of them actually do get tagged because Olokpa has got to be able to monitor them and see where they're going. And where they keep them is usually never near a school. Never near a school. And there's certain things, if you don't sort of sometimes lean in those job areas, you wouldn't know. Sometimes only Bosheman paint ilemo. Àwọn house one, the government only Bosheman paint ilemo so that there's a way they I don't know if because of the regulation of discrimination they've stopped it now, but many, many years back, only Bashiman paint there are some places I'll go past, I'll say, we're done. That kind of thing. But because of this discrimination and because some people also don't like them, and all of that, they try to, but it is important that these people are sort of like checked, they are tagged, they are registered, because the slightest thing can cause them to go back. A lot of the time they are repeat offenders. And I think in as much as here they say it's a psychological thing, that's all I can say. Whether Nigerians agree with it or not.
Me, I agree. We talked about this thing last night. Me and Abiduke and I, we talked about this, Dr. Femi. I totally agree that it's a mental thing. Because it's only a cycle that will be attracted to a child.
Some of them even do their own kids.
Yeah, that's what
Okay,
Dukia
so
was
let me
saying.
give you this crazy story because I know the person is no longer here. But it's not Oyibo Munso. I'm not talking about Dudu people before people start tagging it to a Nigerian person. But she said, one day I was at a friend's place and the neighbor came in with these beautiful children, really beautiful children. And I noticed that the two children are Ibeji, a boy and a girl. So they were like maybe 5 or 6. So I noticed that the girl was a bit awkward. The mom, lovely, beautiful woman, but we noticed we pay. She drinks. There's nothing wrong with drinking, but I noticed that awkward man back top up drinker. At first you think it's a love thing. That, oh darling, a bit more wine for you. Show my abba top her up. And I thought to myself, this woman is guzzling a lot for somebody that's come with children, that sort of thing. So I noticed the little girl was very, she didn't understand spatial awareness around Okunrin. And the way she was jumping on different Okunrin's legs and sitting and all of that, and I was thinking, whoof. So me being me, and the thing I do, I went into my friend's kitchen and I called her and I said, girl, is there something wrong with her? My friend said, hey, today, can fish I said, is something wrong with the girl? And she said, no, I'm thinking of things a bit too much. I said, I'm thinking there might be some sort of like special needs or that there's something else wrong with her. So my friend was like, you overthink things, Jared. She young, kind of thing. And I said, And I went and she just called my name and said, Otutide, sort of thing. And I forgot about the whole thing because of what she said to me. Now, exactly, Queen. Exactly. So about a year later, she just called me and said, "Hey, you." I said, "What happened?" She said, "That thing you were telling me that day about that guy." I said, "What?" Immediately, I even forgot. I said, "Oh, yeah, 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 yeah." She said, that do I know that the Olokpa people did a sting operation? So they now saw that Babayan is on the dark web, and on what much pay when they do children, they do the video, they do the image, they share it, and all of that. And he did not realize, Oyinbo Moso, he did not realize that they were they were Olokpa people that were doing that thing. With they were just talking to him, but because even though you're Olokpa, because I hear some of these people say, Olokpa, you can pretend to be something. No, the fact that you're Olokpa does not give you excuse to commit a crime. So yeah, it has a way of shining through Dukia, yes. So the thing is, so they had caught him, or they have noticed something, so they did a sting operation. So they were now, I don't know how they got to, I don't want to say what I don't know, but she pretty much told me that Omolopa just burst into the house and took this Baba away. Now, the thing about the Baba is you would have thought he was the perfect husband, because I don't think she drove, but he would drive her anywhere and everywhere she wanted to go to. And only for them to find in his house videos that own Shiomoye. That is his own own Shiomoye,
My
and all
God.
of that. And he had been posting it on the dark web. This
Ha!
woman went ballistic. And you know what you see, and that spoke to why he kept on topping, which means Oman encouraged her to drink so that she, probably falls deeply asleep or something. That kind of thing. And there will be times where she might go somewhere and he will be home with the kids and all that. Long and short, she's from an like European country. She went back to her country. She went back with her kids to her country. Whether or not Otijade Lewonsi, he probably is out, because this is quite about 6 something. My friend was just like, "How did you know?" I said, "It's just somehow. If you have time for your children, if if you look out for them, if you talk to, there's certain things you would instill in them. If you have time with them, with them, you would say, "Ma boshobai." I mean, these are everyday commonsensical things. Like, I know of families where the dad, even though he's their dad, when those children are changing, especially maybe their age 9, from when they were age 8, 7, 9 or something, he was beginning to teach them that when you're changing, the opposite kinikon should not be around. And and this is something I saw, because there was a time they came for holiday, and they just stayed with us for like a couple of days. So when the girls, I just noticed that the guy dad was there. I said, "Oh my, I thought they're having a bath." The little one was about maybe 7 or 6 or so. Oh, he said, "Oh yes, yes," that he's put their clothes on their bed, and he's folded it up, because the mom had gone somewhere. He's folded it all down to roll on, down to this, that, and the other, everything. He said they will sort themselves out. That if they need help with hair or anything, they know when to call him. And that's the funny thing, because when they needed help with their hair, by that time, what you wash up. And when I say wash, I'm not saying that, kakak, no, but they were wearing their vest, they were wearing their knickers, they were wearing, all of that. And they would say, "We're there now, Dad." And then he went and he did their hair for them. And even, let me even freak you. He knocked on the door. He knocked on the door to enter, because there's 2 of them and there's an older one. But and when I say older one, I'm just saying maybe 2 years older or 3 years older. But he knocked on the door. And they were like coming there, and the way they are around him, he absolutely adores his children. But that is a family where the husband and the wife are teaching their children. Bye, 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 bye. If the mom is around, the mom will be with them, that sort of thing. But he would always knock to go. And the thing is, because you can never fully know everything. And that is, I learned that from them. And hence, going in my daughter's room, even though it's in my house, I knock. The other day I knocked on the door. My daughter was like, "Mom, are you serious?" I thought it was Dad knocking on the door. I said, "No, it's me." And she said, "Oh, but Mom, you normally don't knock to get in my room." And I said, "You now work. You are up, you are an adult. You work. I've got to respect your space." Because sometimes if she's working from home, She might be working, in her room because she's got like a setup there for her work thing. So I've got to respect that space now. I'm not dealing with, yes, she's my daughter, but she works. So it's things like that. And when you respect every child's voice, ọmọ náà ló máa di àgbàlagbà, ibi tó ti jẹ́ àgbàlagbà is where they will grow to meet you. And then you become mates. You can only negotiate when it's a certain age. Tẹ́ bá lọ ń yọ kùmọ̀, tẹ́ ń yọ kóńdó because you want to train a child, you are pushing them far away. I do not have a child that will go to uni and not bojú wẹ̀yìn, because they know that ilé bàbá ọmọ ń bọmọ lẹ́rù, they can always come home. My children, my daughter, when she was in uni, all of her, myself and her dad said was, we don't care if you go to a party. Just tell us when you're going to a party, tell us when you're there, and tell us when you get back to your accommodation. Shikena, and when I say tell us, it's text. So sometimes we might be asleep and we just see a text that, okay, she got to her accommodation around 3 a.m., 4 a.m. As long as she's safe, she knows what it is to be safe. There was a Saturday way back, many years back, when she sent a text to say, I'm back from the party. It was about 5 something. I happened to be awake, and I said, and I sent a sticker, and she was like, Mom, why are you awake? And she called me. So it's not about what. So when these people are saying they get going out of the house at 3 a.m., young people, if you send a young person to a certain age, of course, you've got to train your children, but at a certain age, their parties don't start till maybe 11 or 12 midnight. So a young person does not see night and day. It's not like when we were brought up that your party will start at 7 and you have to be home by 10. Things are changing, times are changing. And if you don't show them you love them and you're accommodating and understanding, you will push them out. You will push them far away from home. I've had so many children say to me, they actually, I don't know the Yoruba word for it, when you hate somebody, that they do that, they actually do about their parents. And when I've spoken to them to try and understand, it was parents showing them love, but not necessarily in, it was a bit of over the top, kiniko. And I've just tried to explain to them, I think your parents absolutely adore you, they love you, but why don't you go home? At a good time, have a chat with them and say, when you do this, yes, thank you, sir, Ikorira, thank you, sir, I'll remember that one, Ikorira. So I said to them, go home and have a chat with them and tell them how you want. Because when the child gets to a certain age, it's not about kumo and kondo. It's not about those type of things. And maybe at this point, if you're all not bored of my voice yet, maybe I should also touch, because the RSC I was talking about is because they teach that SEX in school, but let me touch on safeguarding, because there's so many myths out there and so many things that are untrue out there about safeguarding. Safeguarding, the social services, they don't want your children. I mean, there's been people on here that have contacted me and I've given them advice. And sometimes something I say is, if you tell me something that sounds like a disclosure, Omo, ati go legal, because I would not compromise my work for your own sake. It's better you don't tell me things that are like a disclosure. Because if you disclose something to me and I have to protect a young person, that would trump my commitment to you as an individual. I can advise you, but if I feel that it's going to put me into, there's someone here, we've had a chat beautifully, she was asking on behalf of somebody, and I said, well, at this point, to didn't disclose, to buy so one more thing, I'm going to disclose. She said, when they tell her as well, then she will tell them, I didn't disclose, you've got to do something about it. Because it's important that every child is safeguarded. Cindy Bolonlona. Where Cindy they go? They don't, to be honest, they don't want your children. They don't want to take those children from you. If you have one person at home who they believe those children will be okay with, they will not take your children. They will not take your children. So let me explain it to you. There were many years ago a family I worked with, and by the way, I'm not a social worker. I'm not a social worker. There was a family I worked with, and what happened was Omoye had gone to school, ó dà pé bàbá ẹ̀ gbà. I think the baba ó gbà from the back. But these are, I'm talking about, yes, it's everyone's responsibility. I'm talking about what back from the back. Shema, when you just shove a child, it wasn't like, oh, no, but oh, shove it from the back. And I'm talking about, these are not even Niger people, these are Indian people. Oh, from the back a bit to, and then the boy had, in the process, because he wasn't expecting that movement, Ofojugba something, so he had a bit of a black eye. So when he got to school, he was the one who even said, oh, see what my, he was about 6 years old, see what my father did to me, kind of thing. He didn't say, oh, Moshe Bai, Shekini Konwabami. Long and short, the services were involved because that was a disclosure from a child. And when they were talking, they were actually saying that culture, when you know how Nigerians do, we say is our culture, we are man among culture. Kò sẹ́ni tó ní culture wèrè, culture náà ló bá wa débi tá a wà sí tá à ń ṣe widow victimization kìíní káàkiri. Some things are not needed if you can speak to children and they take responsibility for their actions. Gbogbo kọ́ máa fi igi na ọmọ and all of that. Ìwà ewúrẹ́ kind of màálù horse behavior, whipping a child with sticks, it's not needed. If you, as an adult, tó bá ṣe nǹkan tó wrong, if you don't want anybody to whip you with is it koboko, or whip you with a cane, a proper igi, then don't do it to those children. If you don't need it, they don't need it. You're both human. What you need to do is, okay, UK, England still allows smacking, but there's some parts of the UK that smacking is not allowed. And I subscribe to it, because kosima alu anywhere. Anyway, if you speak to children, if you take time to train them and talk to them and listen to them, the chances that you would need to even smack omo would be very, very slim. It's something I know. I've done it. I've seen it. It's been tested. It works. The question is, do you have the time for it? Do you have the time to do this thing? So long and short, they said it was their culture and the people disagreed. When I say people, I mean social workers. They disagreed. It should be a cultural thing. Black eye, it would have been better off saying it was an accident. I didn't mean to, kiniko. So when they said it was culture, the wife now said it was culture. So they said, since the wife too said it was culture, it means they might have to take those children. And then the wife now said, boy, it was, so they had to go and speak to the children again to say, who hits you? And the children said, oh, Baba, not really Mama. That was the only reason they left these two beautiful boys to their mom. But the only way they went around it was the dad, Kulisunule. And they are rich enough, well off enough. He got himself a hotel to stay in till the whole thing was resolved. Teba dasi rough and you start keba mama twisting atamo kind of thing. People can always see through these things. People are trained for these occasions. So what I would say is, please, take your time, show them you love them, let them know, even when you have a go at a child, still let them know it's from a place of love. Don't be over the top. And when I say have a go at a child, my Oyinbo of have a go is not gidigbo. My Oyinbo of have a go is, you can have a firm talking to them. You can have a strong word with them about how, all the time you address children, always address the behavior and not the child. So if your child is called Jaden, don't address Jaden as a liar. Address Jaden's behavior. Jaden, anytime you tell a lie, I find it very upsetting. And I'm worried that if you continued telling lies, fitting into the society and the workplace in the future could be tricky. If you lied in a place of work, you could lose your job, you could go to prison, you could go to jail. It's education. Let them understand the consequence of that behavior. You're not scaring them, you're just telling them what it is and what fact is. And you would see that child would try to change. They would try to change. and they will take it on board. And because their hearts are so young and their hearts are like a sponge, they absorb information. It's easier to teach a child not to lie than to teach an adult who are used to it not to. So it's things like that. Always address the behavior, because if you address the child, you start making them feel unloved. So how do you addressing the child, for example, is Jaden, you're a liar. You are addressing him as a person, as in the person of Jaden. You're not addressing the behavior. So don't say to your child, Jaden, you're a liar. Sarah, you're a liar. Funke, you're a liar. No, it's when you lie, because it's an action they've done. It does not necessarily make up that child. So you've got to really refine as much as you can your children. Have a lot of positivity around them, because you don't know how many people, when you take them to school and all these other places, are speaking negativities into their lives, because a lot of the time they spend more time at school. So having said that, social services are not necessarily after your children. It's now when you have no other option and they feel that the child should be safe, is when they then go into foster. Foster, while it's to keep the child for some time, there's a way you then behave as a parent that would make it longer for you to get the child back. Please, Ejon Toriolong, try, especially if you are abroad, try and begin to speak and listen to your children, hear their voices. Try and understand where they're coming from, because sometimes young people and these children and the younger adults, sometimes they don't have the language to express themselves, and what they've said to you is not necessarily what they mean. But if you understand context and you listen to them, you will be able to dig it out. If your child constantly has tummy aches when it's time for school, always having tummy aches, you need to sit that child down and say, can you explain to me why you have these tummy aches, especially if it's maybe on Tuesdays, you might find that your child will tell you that the timetable for that day is heavy and they struggle, and they're allowed to. So it's a case of, what are you going to do about it as a parent? So if it's going to be Tuesday, are you going to start prepping the child ready and saying, Tuesday is one of those days we can do this together. When you get to school, you've got a double math, a double science, a double English. Come on, we're always with you. We're always with you. Whatever the issue, when you get home, just let us know. Could you even be saying to the child, do you think if I bring a tutor on board, do you think that would help you? What exactly are you struggling with? And at other times, for the younger ones especially, if they say it's tummy aches, you need to be saying to them, tell me why you feel this tummy aches, because it could be a sign that they're being bullied and they don't know how to tell you they're being bullied. And it's not necessarily because they're scared. It's just because maybe they feel that person is playing with them and their play is just rough. It's not until you sit them down and you say, what exactly does the person do to you? Orishirishi ló wà ní playground, if you've ever been looking after children. Some children, they want to play, but the other people don't want to play with them. Those arrogant kind of jobs. When you go and do this, by the time the child comes back, they would have played their play and all of that. And after a long time, I'm sure that child will begin to think, are these people playing with me, or are they taking me for a ride or something? But they might not be able to express what they're going through. Yeah? So please, it's very important. Don't say to your child, did you have a good day at school today? Say to your child, you sure look like you've had fun in school today. Tell me something about your day. Because a lot of the time, if you say, you look like they beat you in school today, okay, what happened? The child will just go straight into, my teacher shouted, anything, because of the way you've gone in negatively. But if you actually say something along the lines of, you sure look like you're full of beans, you're springing, you've had a good day at school today, tell me a bit about it. They will tell you so much, you won't believe your ears. It will be so much in terms of things that are important to them. If your child doesn't tell you something, it's because it's not important to them. And when I say it's not important to them, I'm saying it doesn't upset them. It doesn't hurt them. It doesn't cause them issues. Children will always remember something that doesn't work for them. So yeah, please, Ejo, I can't say this enough. There's so many children out there that don't have their parents' ears, and as parents, you might think you how would I say, you might think that you're listening to them, but is that how they want to be listened to? Because every parent has their work life as well, and they have their working from home, and a lot of parents now are giving gadgets more and more. There's many children having special educational needs. I don't really know the reason for that. I can only say that there's so many factors out there. When we were young, we were out on, playing, jumping around, somersaulting, tumbling, cartwheels, skipping, playing, chase, doing all of that. That doesn't really happen anymore. A lot of children, even from like age of baby, is straight onto gadgets. And so they're losing that social communication skill. They're not developing it properly. Take your children. I know the UK is cold, but you've got to take them to a park. Take them to, in fact, a lot of the time when I'm either at what do you call these things, like a trade fair, not trade fair, but all these things, schools visit and all of that. A lot of the time, the ethnic minority children, women look lost, gone, and it's a shame. Some children have never been camping. Camping is not my thing, and I tell you that now, but we did go camping when the children were young. And I had a cheat pad. My cheat pad was we go camping to where they also have a guest chalet. So when we set up the camp, tent and all of that, my husband always made sure he got me a space in the guest chalet. So I would sleep inside the proper house in the night with my babies. If the one that wants to stay with their dad can stay in the tent, but they had that experience. But Emile Jeki Lion Wagbe mi jelale, I'm a Niger woman. Nothing sent me out into the woods in the middle of the night, but at least it was good fun. It was good fun. And there was a time that I used to cater for about 300 people. We used to organize this camp where we go for like 3-4 days with lots of people. We're always usually about maybe 70. It was a church thing. And I would do the catering for all the days we're there. I was always doing the catering. My kids were fine. And even though I said I was always doing the catering, my children were always supervised by their dad. So it wasn't a case of, sure, Sheila, wow, I'm cooking and then my children are running. No. There's always an agreement and the eyes that would look after. And if it's a baby, mukmo saying it straight away when I'm doing my things. And bear in mind, I'm not cooking 24/7. It's just breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and we eat proper food. Like whether it's pasta bake, whether it's a spaghetti bolognese. Because some of these people are Imbo people too, and age. So I had to cater for everybody. Sometimes it was Chinese I was cooking. But the place we would go to would have like a good, sort of like a reasonably good kitchen space for me to cook for people. And we had lots of games. We played rounders. We would go to the seaside in the morning. All these families, the crabs are out in the morning. It's beautiful for the children to see. And a holiday or all of these things doesn't have to be expensive. They do not have to be expensive. So please, these children need the exposure. They need the love. If anybody has any question whilst I'm here, I'm more than happy to. A generic one. It can't be something personal in the comment section, please. A generic one. But I guess some of you are probably wondering what I do. I'm an educational consultant, and I wear many layers. I also sit as a governor on a board of about 8 schools, and I'm accredited in special educational needs. I'm a qualified
Are you
mental.
accredited or you're accredited?
I am accredited. Lilibeth, you're such a rascal. Oh, I love it when I call you that. You honestly, you blow my mind sometimes. Yeah, so I am a qualified. I wouldn't say accredited, but I am a qualified mental health first aider. It's doesn't mean I'm a psychologist, no, but I am qualified to degree to sense or observe or see. So my job scope is wide. My job scope is really wide, and I was never meant to be in education, but I followed my heart. I was never meant to be in education in any way. What happened was when I was in secondary school in Nigeria, I had a properly established tuition center, and I used to run it for people. I mean, just people, sometimes if you like, pay me, if you like, don't pay me. I wasn't bothered, but I was always doing that. So when we moved to the UK, it was something else I studied entirely. But because I sort of like loved education, my husband was like, you seem to really have a flair for this. Do you want to? So I had to go back to retrain. Actually, no, I lie. I started off, I'm not going to tell you the school in Grange. I said it. Oh no, I hope you didn't hear. I started off in Nigeria at a British school and then went back to uni to get a postgraduate in education, then came to the UK and then got into the system here and then climbed, rose, you name it, whatever. So I also am on the leadership of a school that I work really closely with, really, really closely with. I've had so many successful and outstanding inspections under my belt, and I'm also a trained inspector. So I can give advice on school inspectorate here and anywhere. I do audits, I do setting up. If people want to go into education, I could always point you, graduate programs and all of that. I don't own those programs. I can only advise and signpost you. So yes.
Baby soft light.
Yes, ma.
Hi. Do you mean when you say you're an inspector? Do you mean you also qualify to work with Ofsted?
I do. Oh, I don't want to give up too much of myself, but there's Ofsted and there's ISI. I'm
Okay.
ISI.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Because it's an independent. I do some mainstream schools, but I'm based mostly in independent sector.
Independent settings. Okay.
Because those ones have peace of mind and they get pepe.
The mainstream school, one lágbára gan because it's too much of òfin wà. But anyway, I would because I'm into education as well. But I will speak to you. I will chat you up because I need to get some things off you. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
All right then. Okay. So if you have, I think we're moving on. Tammy has said it as well. We're moving on from all of some of these their nonsensical ways, but anything I do not charge. I would only advise you. If you need advice, I would only advise you. So feel free, because to be honest with you, it's nothing to bottle up and it's not a by force thing. If I give an advice, it doesn't mean it's the best advice. It doesn't mean it's the greatest advice. It doesn't mean that, your child is never going to progress. No, it's not that. You take it, you leave it. If you think it's useful, use it. If you feel, you need other things, by all means, it's just the way it is. But please look after those children. A lot of them are having mental health issues. A lot of them are having medical issues. I've seen lots of children, even age 5, with things like cancer. They've undergone maybe 4 major operations. I've seen children age 6, 7 with depression. It's real and it's out there. And I'm not saying omotoshe bata. No, I'm talking about children that have serious issues. How they get these things, honestly, I don't think I could blame it on a parent, because if a child has cancer age 5, I don't think that's to do with the parent. And this beautiful soul, so cute child I'm talking about, lost the mom this January. And so it's just the dada looking after him, and he's got such a situation. So it's again, let us help them to be resilient. Let us help them to be strong. Let us help them to be independent, thinkers. It's really, really important. It's sad. And when I said it, that some children are beginning to start their period I've seen age 6. I think age 6 is the lowest I've seen. And wow, what an amazing child. The way she's able to change herself in such a matured way. It just shows you that if you train a child in certain ways, they would adjust. They're just like a sponge, they absorb. Because I can't, even some teenagers, you're still trying to teach them how to change their pads and all of that. And yet age 6, that this thing has just happened to suddenly because of a medical thing or some genetic changes in the, and they're handling it better. It blows my mind. It just shows me that children are pliable and you can do whatever. You can set them to be whatever. But the child you have is the child you have. You've just got to love them the way, and make the best of it. Shigon, if there's anybody that has anything to stream, by all means,
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank
I'm
you.
done.
Josie
Well,
team, wetin una get for that side? Na so container women dey sell worobo,
they
you
said
know.
that.
Àwọn ní worobo.
Before you run away, because I know you very soon you will drop and run away.
ẹ má máa
Speak up.
compare àwọn Josie pẹ̀lú wa ìjọ nítorí Ọlọ́run.
There was a
Josie
comment
báwo.
that said explain independent schools and all that.
Independent school is a private school.
She
The
said,
private
Rush,
school.
tell us about independent school.
Okay, so basically, it depends on where you live and your area. There's some areas that don't have a lot. So, like some areas, like Kent area, has a lot of grammar schools. So, in my own, and this is my own opinion, I can only speak. Other people might feel differently, even though they live in Kent. However, I personally feel that the grammar schools are stronger than the independent, some, not all of them, than some independent schools. However, the question remains, is a grammar school suited to your child? Because it's almost like a factory. They chuck out these children quick, scores and all of that. And if at GCSEs, they don't make the grades for A levels, they tell them to leave the grammar school. They tell them to leave any school anyway. But what I'm saying is that the grammar schools they're not fee paying, they're not independent, but they're very strong schools. But if a child didn't make A levels, a grammar school would chuck them out because the entry they have for A levels is higher. Then you also have the normal regular secondary schools. That one, their levels for A level entry is quite low. They would take anybody and everybody. I mean, I'm not saying that in a disparaging way, but they would take anybody and everybody. However, independent schools are just as strong as the grammar schools, but they don't rush the children in the way, like factory setting. You get a bit more for your money, is what I would say with independent schools. But my own thing is, if a child went to an independent primary school, that is a very fantastic way of setting up their foundation, the foundation years. I know because I've heard some Nigerians say, because of the fee paying, they would wait for the child to get to year 4 and then put the child in independent so that if they have to take grammar school exams and all of that, by the time you're doing that, it's a bit late for some children because the foundation years have been lost and independent schools or private schools don't wave the magic wand. We're not magicians. We do what every other person does. And the fact that your child goes to an independent school does not make them a brainiac. We still would have children with special educational needs. We will have people that need accelerated learning. The UK system does not allow for double promotion. So there's nothing like that in UK schools. But you pretty much you get what you pay for sometimes. So my daughter went grammar. So she moved from one grammar to another grammar. Fantastic experience. So she moved from one grammar to another grammar. Fantastic experience. Primary school. But I knew the grammar system was going to be okay for them. So my daughter was fine grammar system, but my son, because of his subject combination, we had to move him after his GCSE results to a fee-paying school for secondary. And that was because he was taking maths, computer science, economics. To start off with, he added psychology to start with, and also he was going to do the APQ. But we were saying to him, look, boy, you've got too much on your plate. After his GCSE results to a fee-paying school for secondary. And that was because he was taking maths, computer science, economics. To start off with, he added psychology to start with, and also he was going to do the APQ. But we were saying to him, look, boy, you've got too much on your plate. Because sometimes it's like half an A level. But I would say if your child can do it, let them do it, because APQ could support them with their A level results. So if your child, for example, missed a certain grade at A level for a university they wanted, APQ can always augment it. For example, and they tell them to pick a topic they love. So for example, my son played basketball county level. He still plays in uni now, and he just chose to write about basketball. The only thing I would say to you I helped him with is because I have an experience of thesis. When he knocked all of his work together, and because he was in a fee-paying school, they saw him through all the different stages and teaching them the skills to put together an EPQ. So when he put together his EPQ, I just spent like almost maybe 8 hours just topping and tailing it for him, making sure it's in a good place. And okay, this word is really good, but can we use a strong? This word is really good, but can we use a strong? This word is really good, but can we use a strong? And with reading their work and editing, all I did was read and edit, and then also suggest, oh, why don't you put a table here? Why don't you put an image here just to make it look bigger and all of that? So things like that easily would support your child, and it would make sure, the APQ result, you even know before they finish their A-level exams. So straight away, you know that, okay, we've got an A in the bank. We put this in the bank, that sort of thing. But with independent schools, you would get, maybe if a grammar school does parents' evening for like, let's say maybe 3 minutes per subject or something, or that sort of thing, because that's really what it is, or 5-minute stops in some schools. If you're in a fee-paying school, it's probably you that will tell the teacher to shut up and go, because they can do up to 20, 25, 30 minutes with you, it's because you won't censure, so they would respect, and they would, they would sort of like keep talking. Honestly, for me, when I've had enough, I've had enough. Maybe, and this education is very massive, but if you're having a parents' evening where they do 3 minutes, all those online ones that cuts off, pam. When the teachers come online and they say, let's say your child is Toby, for example, and you say, oh, Toby, what do you like about school? 3 minutes, all those online ones that cuts off. Tell us what you like about geography. I think as a parent, you need to smile and say, sorry, could you just tell us, what he's doing well and what area he needs to develop? Thank you. I know he has a love of geography. He enjoys map, and you can only speak to it if you speak to your child. He enjoys map work, but can I just know the areas he needs to develop? Because at the end of the day, if it's going to be an online 3 to 5 minutes, and then they're going to, the thing just going to cut you off, you don't. When they say, Toby, can you tell us what you like about geography? It's a time waster. It is a time waster, because by the time Toby goes, sir, I really do like by the time Toby by my fisoroton, 2 minutes the law. So the child will just say, yes, Toby, I do appreciate you do struggle with that, but what do you think we can do better in class? No, it's a parents' evening for the teacher to be telling you about your child, not your child trading information about their education with the teacher. So it's always good to go in and say, oh, thank you. It's really a short time. I know he has a love of geography. He likes map work, but could you please tell me some areas we need to work on? And then the teacher would be forced, especially if your child is either in drama school where there's a higher class ratio. With independent schools, really better you get a smaller class size. So if at secondary, there may be 30 or so in the classroom. Independent might be maybe 15 or 20. I know that at A levels in my son's school, they had lots of groups for their maths, and I think it was only 4 or 5 children in his maths group. and then is economics maybe 9 or thereabout, and is computer science maybe another. But that was the way they split. It's not because they didn't have enough children, but it's almost like the teacher-child ratio. And also because as an independent school, you've got to do well for you to have your clientele, isn't it? So it's that's the difference. But that said, my daughter had an experience of grammar, and she went to like a really, really top grammar school in Kent. And to be honest with you, in her politics class, she probably told me they were like boya 15. So again, that grammar school must have been really, really good, or maybe it's just the number of people that wanted that particular subject. But it was, 15, I can still cope with 15. But if my child says to me, Mama, I think I could do with extra help or support, I would get them a tutor. But when you get a tutor, don't just get somebody that has just come from Nigeria, and because you're paying them Naira, you think they understand the exam board in the UK. They might not understand the exam board. If you go to a place like Tutor Hunt, you can get to read their CV and their experience. Always go for somebody who's in education. And if your child is secondary school, always go for somebody who is most likely an examiner for an exam board. And most likely the exam board your child is on. Because if you go for an examiner, then it means they are markers. They mark that exam for that exam board. So if your child is maybe OCR computer science, if you go for an examiner that has experience of OCR or whatever board else they might have, if they have that, they would know how to support your child with preparation for those exams, those national exams. So it's not about, because I've heard people say, I only pay 10,000 naira to my child's economics teacher. They do it over Teams. You might be paying 10,000 naira to somebody who might maybe in Nigeria be a good economics teacher, but in the UK does not understand the exam board. So, yeah. Lilibet, did I help there?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Yeah. So, to be honest with you, whether your child goes to an independent school or otherwise, the biggest person are the parents. Because those schools as well cannot wave magic wands. It doesn't matter how much you're pouring. The greatest support a child could ever have would always come from home. Okay, Muchicheton, I'm stepping down.
I might just step down, maybe soft lives. I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Well, due to my experience, I've seen a lot because I'm in the primary school section. And what I find out, there's some children, even up to year 6, that cannot even read. Even
Okay,
with interventions being applied to them. So by the time these kids leave primary school and they can't read, what program or what do you think can be done to this kind of children?
Okay. All right, I'll come to that. Sorry, Taras. Kudus, I'm coming to that. What's the best way to handle school projects, research on internet or where? We are thinking, Kat. Okay, so Taras, I've seen your question. Is it school projects? Is that with the children? Is that what age is the child, please? And then I'll respond. Now, sometimes, some children have significant. Oh, Taras, are you saying yes to secondary school? Could you just type secondary, please? Oh, school project 10. Are you in the US then? I'm not familiar with that term. Okay, elementary grade 5. Okay, grade 5. Okay, I'm not 100% familiar with the US system, but Canada, sorry. But if I had a conversation with you when I say conversation, if I have a chinwag about it, I would probably understand what you're saying. But are you talking about just like they gave them an assignment and they had to research online? If you let me know, yeah. So with so I can't pronounce that name, yeah, but Kudus, that person's sort of like speaking to what you're saying. Some children actually have, there's mild to severe SEN needs. And if a child is actually not able to even read in year 6, they probably have a diagnosis for maybe significant dyslexia. I mean, severe dyslexia. And also it could be please, Taras. And also it could be a combination of things, because some children also have moderate SEN. Moderate meaning there are some other diagnoses. So in my experience, I've seen a child who's got dyslexia, they've got ADHD, and they've got ASD. And then they are suffering with anxiety. I mean, that in itself is a lot for a child, any child. Even for up to age 16, it's a lot for any child. And what makes it worse is if there's not enough resource or funding for SEN regarding the school. In a case like that, I would like to think they've gone down the maybe EHCP route to get that child some support till their age 25. EHCPs are not easy to come by. They're like gold dust. And you've got to know what you're doing the first time round so that you don't get rejected. Because once your EHCP is rejected, it's always a massive, massive difficulty appealing it. So some children are very, very slow learners. And to be honest with you, I always say, don't treat children with SEN as though they're unwell. They're not unwell. They're not sick. It's just that you've got to understand how they want to learn. Because a lot of the time, most schools sort of treat them as if and then they don't challenge them enough. And sadly, sometimes if there's other behavioral issues associated as a result of maybe autism or ADHD, some of the people who should have supported them from their early years always just let them do whatever they want to do because they don't want that stress. And that in itself, does not help. Now, what I'll say is, in my own experience, and I can only speak to my experience, if things are done properly, the gap should not be getting wider. Things should improve. But sometimes, most likely, that child is not getting support from home, and maybe in the early years hadn't gotten enough support. And there's something called precision teaching. Precision teaching just means you teach the same thing repeatedly over so many days till it locks in their auditory recall or auditory memory. And another problem is if there's issues around their recall, their auditory memory and processing, it's going to you need a certain technique to teach them. But if the SEN is quite severe, sometimes cognitive abilities might be impacted. And in those situations, maybe the child needs a specialist school. But I would never say that progress cannot be made. So it differs, Kudus, because what I'll say is, while some children might be okay for mainstream school because they can cope with their needs, some other children are better with a specialist school. And actually, the most difficult one, some other children are actually better being homeschooled. But the problem then becomes, parents are working, how do they then look after these children? Is there something in terms of funding that would then come to that family from the LA? Because when you start getting into that area, then it's going to be tricky. Yes, the educational psychologist is needed to make some recommendations, but in the UK, you can choose to homeschool your child without even them having SEN or without them needing an educational psychologist. Report. In fact, it doesn't have to mean that anything, Shimon, you can choose to homeschool your child. But the sad thing about homeschooling in some cases is that those children become unseen and they're lost to the system. Because they might not have enough people to check whether any learning is going on at home or not. But if your child has SEN or if it's severe SEN, my thing with parents is, I know a lot of parents don't like specialist schools, but there's some independent specialist schools that also will take GCSEs. And I want to believe, because I've visited some of those schools just for my own, I just wanted to know what they offer and all of that. And some of those schools actually are not bad because they would get rid of certain subjects your child doesn't need. So what's the point in your child at primary school level, having to cope with French, Spanish, RE, when they haven't even mastered their phonics, that sort of thing. So it's again a case of picking your battles. Though the problem schools have is because there's this statutory expectation of them. It makes it very difficult for them to say, I would say to somebody, I'll take your child out of RE, or I'll take your child out of Spanish, and I'll get somebody in to give them extra maths or extra English, that sort of thing. Let's not treat these children with SEN as if they are unwell. They are not unwell. If you understand their trigger and you are able to manage certain things, you would cope with some of the behaviors, not all of it, but some of the behaviors. And sometimes even sending them to all these behavioral schools and all of that makes it worse. Because they don't have a hang of what's happening to them. Then they go and mix with wild horses, that kind of thing. It makes them worse because they just start copying that wrong behavior. But any child, whether SEN or not, should have access to quality first teaching, which is the class teaching from the class teacher, and then every other thing would be added on, and it's an intervention or an addition. And hopefully parents will make time, because parents will make the most impact. Does that work? So Taras, if you're speaking ref to just supporting children with projects and all of that, if they're going to do their project online, or if they have some research work that's been given to them, or some I always move away from calling it homework. Any school I go to, or I try to impact, I always say to them, don't call it homework, call it home learning. The children know they're in school to learn. When you call it homework, it looks like extra luggage. It sounds a bit like extra luggage. Call it home learning. To be honest with you, some parents don't even like homework, Seth. They say, hey, I don't want to do homework. So give it a name that the children would be a bit more embracing of, because all they've been doing in school is learning. So when you call it home learning, they know they're still learning. But when you call it work, so I would say if you have your child on the internet working, always try and use, it depends on the age of the child. If they're primary age, try and use YouTube Kids. YouTube Kids has some protection on it. If you can, some parents, I'm not expert in things of IT, but some parents also have areas on their laptops. So if your child wants to work on your laptop, they would log in using, the login and username you've created for them, which will be different to yours, because the algorithm as well matters in this day and age. And it depends on what, as an adult, you do with your laptop, or you watch on your laptop, or the type of things they would always bring suggestions to those children. So I would say that maybe perhaps try and create a separate area for them, and also have parental controls in place, and then they can go to town. So, okay, rather than thinking, I see where you're coming from. Now, I see where you're coming from, Taras. I've got that. So sometimes the research is there, you can still use the good old libraries. There's still libraries around, although most of them are now sort of like digital, but there's still some libraries around. It's good to go to a library. Some places actually, because I know in the UK, some places still have mobile libraries. I know they're fading them off now. But their mobile libraries are just like a bus. With lots of their library, but they actually are a bus and they travel from one place to another. But the problem with a mobile library is, how do you get the books back? Because if you delay, you would get charges. I think, Taras, there's not too much internet. It depends on what you do with the internet, is what I would say. Because I get what you're saying. I'm just trying to balance my response here. But a lot of information is there online. Another way is discussing it with your child as well, because at primary age, there'll be a lot of things they would give them that you would have knowledge of as well as an adult. So again, it could be a discussion based, and then you try and get them to scan and pick what is important, and are they going to present it in PowerPoint? If that's the case, then they will need imagery. But if you do have YouTube Kids, a lot of your battle with unwanted, imageries and pop-ups would be sorted out in that way. I think the biggest thing is about disinformation, because that was something that was very big in safeguarding in the UK KICSI 25 this year. And it's a lot of
Sorry,
trying to
let
stop.
me contribute to that.
Mhm.
You know this YouTube short is
Yes.
so horrible. So my friend, I used to tell, because at one point my daughter used to watch, and I'm like, what is this? So of course I put a password on the adult YouTube in my house and all that, everywhere. So she can only access YouTube Kids. So I used to tell this my friend about YouTube Shorts. That thing is horrible, but she was just like, she didn't really, she was nonchalant about it, and she's got a son. The boy is special needs. You get, like, he's autistic, or anyway. So anyway, long story short, just last one did I think 2 weeks ago. So I saw her son is in my daughter's class. So I saw the teacher talking to her afterwards. So she was not telling him that, that babe, her teacher was, I mean, his teacher was telling her that her son is drawing knife and drawing blood and all that. So the teacher was asking, like, what's going on and all that. That is he watching something? So she was now telling the teacher that it's probably those YouTube shots that. So I had to tell her that, see, this is what I was telling you about that YouTube shots. That's where he got all those things from. So yeah, YouTube, you have to be very, very careful with
Yes.
what they have access to.
Let me give you another. There was this Kiniko Apanyo thing some years back where some boys took some children, Tolopawa, in the woods. There was something some years back about, and I don't want to say the name of it so that we're not flagged. But you know that recently I was working with a child that said the thing came up on their computer at home. But when it came up, they were narrating that story, but they were showing things like cartoony kind of things, not anything scary, but cartoony kind of things, like children in a playground and all of that. So when you as a parent go past, you think your child is watching something fun, but it's
Yes,
a
it's
narration behind it.
something like that. Yeah, those YouTube shorts. Yeah, it's something like
Yes.
that. They are
Yeah,
in
you've
cartoon
got to the
form.
extreme there.
Yeah, it's cartoon, right? But it's just
Yes.
horrible, the things that they are doing there and learning from
Yes,
it.
but it's not, yes. So even YouTube Kids is not entirely safe, but also with some of the games the children play. So actually, I've forgotten. I only did a training, was it last week, where I learned about these names. But there's this Roblox these children play. There's a lot of danger around it,
If
because there's a
if my
lot of. Hmm?
no, as in that Roblox thing, he's not even allowed in my house at
Yeah,
all.
a
Because
lot
I
of
saw
people
a
think it's
post
the in thing,
recently.
but
No,
I've
no,
dealt
no.
with so many issues that have come from
Did
that.
you see that story?
Yeah,
This one
Minecraft
happened
too.
in America. This one
Hmm?
happened in America, that the one woman, oh, she used Roblox to tell I think a 7 or 8 year old child to drop her sibling, her baby sibling, I think a 2 month old baby, on the floor, buying that baby. Do
Yeah,
you
so
get?
there's so much. That training was actually on online safety. And I think that it would be useful as a topic for another day, but it's a very, very big area. There's actually, because those things, I always have to refer to my paperwork, which is in my office. But the thing is, there's a called, okay, I've remembered the name now. There's something called Discord or something like that. If your children tell you they're on it, you've got to go check it out. And I hope I'm not putting the wrong, but it's Discord. There's actually an online dating place for even children of primary school now. And some of you might not know your children are there, and they can go through Roblox and all these Minecraft things to get to the place. So those are some other things you need to be mindful of. Also, this AI thing, you've got to be extremely careful how you introduce your children. Yes, that's the one, Discord. I wonder what this I really can't pronounce that. I have to go and teach myself how to Percy, whatever that name. Yeah, I need to learn to pronounce it properly. I'm suspecting that person might also be in maybe the educational field, because that person always resonates with some of what I'm saying. But the thing is, AI as well, àwọn ọmọ yẹn ń lò ó sìn yìí láti ṣe, how do I say this word? Is it roadblocks? I don't look at, àwọn ọmọ mi ti dàgbà ju gbogbo kìnìyàn lọ, so I don't always see those things. But also, let's just hold on. Lilibet, please hold on to that. I wanted to go back to something for Taras. Now, if your child has a research, so Taras was saying something about reproductive system, I would suggest that when you go onto a YouTube site or whatever, you as the adult watch it first and only let your child watch that bit that you have censored, so that it's not that they are searching and trying to get up, different things. Otherwise, oríṣiríṣi ló máa come to them. So, for example, I always say to people in schools that if you're going to teach something using YouTube, make sure you've set it in such a way that the advert doesn't come up, because you don't know what advert will come up. And also make sure that you have censored what you want the child to see before you then ask them to view it. But coming back to Lilibet, what were you holding for me? I haven't had my fish oils in a year.
Bite size.
Well,
Bite size.
A really, really positive, and I hope it's still that way. I used it for my babies when they were kiddies, is Reading Eggs. Now, Reading Eggs is an online platform for teaching phonics. They also have a math section. I never did the math section, came up as my children were, coming off it. And they also have a reading comprehension area. And Reading Eggs would allow you to do a trial before they start charging you. Now, let me tell you why personally I absolutely love Reading Eggs. So if your child likes things like Roblox or all those Minecraft kind of things, what I like about Reading Eggs is that the child is working and collecting eggs. Now, that egg, or the egg, is a currency they would spend in their virtual world. So if they want to, for example, if they buy themselves an apartment in their virtual world, to purchase that apartment, they've got to work, and the work will be phonics, reading, spelling, you name it. They would do all of that to get those eggs, a lot of work. Then when they want to furnish it, maybe they want to buy a chair, they've got to go back and do a lot more work to be able to purchase the chairs. If they want to get a pet into the house, if they want to buy a bed into the house, if whatever it is, they've got to work to get it. And what I love about it is it's got the audio as well. So it teaches them phonics from a very young age. It depends on where you start, but sometimes it might say they should take an entrance test. But if your child is quite young, they can just start from the beginning. But the beauty of it is when it gets to the advanced section where they have the Reading Express, the Reading Express also have they also have like a gym. So even if your child goes to the gym in their virtual world, they're still working. So with the reading one, it might bring out a book from the library in that online platform. It brings out the book they're going to read. In that book, when it reads, it gets them to answer comprehension questions. Whatever they answer, they get eggs. And then also it would then go into the grammar part of it with them. It might then say adverb. Okay, what is this word in this sentence? Is it an adverb? How can it be used as, and it teaches them the grammar part of it, and it does a bit of sentence level work and word level work with the children. And then it might then ask them to put it into a sentence, and then it would tell them to take the follow-up, I wouldn't call it a test, but the activity that follows up from that. So that's a very nice way to get your children working. That is the one platform, to be honest with you, I don't look at a lot of platforms, but that is the one platform I have used for my own kids. And what even attracted it to me to read now, then, because my son's uni now, but when he was in preschool, like age 3, something just came up on maybe, I can't even remember, maybe a newspaper or something, and he said, what did it said something like, teach your child to read in 8 weeks. That was what it said. Teach your child to read in 8 weeks. And we started with it. And I know very well that the preschool teacher actually called me at a point to say, what are you doing with him? And I said, why is that? And she said, oh, he's the only one that can read in the class. Even at that age, you really don't expect that they are readers. but it teaches sounds, phonic sounds from the beginning. And the beauty of it is when it's teaching them phonic sounds, maybe if the sound is the whatever sound, maybe shh, you want to teach them the shh, sound, which is a diagram. What it does is it might have a part where they have to jump across a pond on lily pads, and it's very beautiful and very colorful, and they have to jump on words that have that. So again, it's something that you can do for children. We pay, yes, reading eggs. I've not tried the other ones, but it doesn't mean they're not good.
It sounds like what my children will love. So
yeah, it's
People
very colorful and very animated. Everything they have to do,
I'm going to download it now.
Is it an app?
Reading eggs, yeah. Everything they have to work.
Reading X.
Eggs, any eggs.
Okay, reading X.
It must be an app now.
Eggs.
Mm-hmm. My daughter,
And also,
the smaller one,
sorry,
she loves to.
I can't hear you.
Okay.
Sorry, I'll mute.
No, go on.
No, go on. I want to hear you. No, babe.
No, I was saying that as in this reading egg sounds like something my kids will like, especially my daughter. The younger one, she loves all this. There's this game she plays on her tab that is about decoration and stuff, like making up
what I
interior
absolutely love about it is they have to work, and you see the children are having fun working. It's not like they're just playing a game. They are having fun, and it's quite full on. When I say full on, something that is, you've done a reading text, then it's bringing out sentence work, word level work, and all those things. It is quite a chunk. It is quite educative in that regard, because it's also teaching them grammar and it's teaching them sentence level work. It's very, very intense, I must say. And also, they introduced the maths. I never tried the maths with my children, because by the time they were introducing the maths, my children were probably already on their way to secondary school, but we kept it for a long time, because they had to buy pets, and even when they buy the pets, they will go to a shop with the pets there, and it's based on your number of eggs is what you can buy. If your own buys an ant, then it is ant that will be your pet. I'm not saying they have ants for pets, but I'm just saying that you can't go there with 3 eggs and think you'll buy something. A dog might be maybe like 150 eggs. So it's not like allowing for laziness in that regard. But what it does is the children can see the eggs going up. So try the maths one. I never did the maths with my children, but I'm guessing the maths might just be as good. But another beautiful section they have for children in primary school is writing. They have a writing press. They also have a writing press where you do a bit of writing. The children have got to type in their writing and all of that. What I love about it is the village, the online village it has. And even as an Agbalagba self, I almost became a bit of, because when my children are doing it, I'm sitting there and my daughter might go, "Oh, Mom, I've got enough money. I'm going to the gym today to Kiniko. And I can't remember what else happened with the gym, but even me myself, Agbalagba, I was getting excited. I'm a lossy gym lane, that kind of thing. So so that's what I remember of it. If your child is secondary, I know some people talk about one XLS or something, or IXL or something. I've never used those ones, because by the time those ones came out, my children were already grown. But there's something like XLS or something. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, please put it there for me. But also there's another one that I think challenges their maths, which is Conquer Maths. If you've ever heard of IXL, thank you, Taras. There's also Conquer Maths. I used Conquer Maths for my son. It comes in subjects, and they have won quite a number of awards. And it would, but the only thing about Conquer Maths is it's only maths, whereas the IXL, I think, is lots of different subjects. I've used that for my son as well, actually, at secondary level, but I think they do go to primary level. But all these things, please bear in mind, research it. Atom Learning, yes, there was Atom Learning, is a really, really good one. I brought Atom Learning to a school, was it like 2 years ago? Atom Learning is fantastic because they do have maths, English, verbal and non-verbal reasoning. So yes, Atom Learning, that is one. I actually had that company come and do a demo to me. just so that I could see if I was going to recommend it to places or to schools. So yes, Atom Learning, I know. The ones I'm really going yeah for are the ones that I have personally used. So I can obviously give you a review on those ones. But that's not to say, yes. This person, somebody, you've got to really come in my DM and tell me what you do. Because yes, Maths Genie is really good. Yes, and Maths, yes. Now, we can't do all of this today, guys. That can help you guys with your children. But that Maths Genie he's talking about, and that physics and maths tutor, Persearx, I'm guessing it's called Persearx or something, but I'm trying really hard to pronounce that. But yes, that one he's put there on the physics and maths tutor is extremely fantastic tool. It has the exam board. It has lots of exam board questions for the different exam boards. It's got the solutions to the thing. It's for GCSEs and A levels. If you have children in secondary school, it is free. That is a free resource. So the physics and maths tutor, it's a free resource. I can't bellow this enough. If you have children in secondary school, go look at that website. It's an amazing website. And if I recall correctly, I think it's also the one that has like A grade, B grade, what your child needs to know to be, the different A-level grades. So please go have a look at that if you've got children in secondary school. It's a really, really good resource and it's free.
Maybe so. If someone is asking if an adult needs help with maths, can they use this?
They can use it actually, because I know some people want to move from whatever it is they. So I had a case some years back where somebody wanted to move into education, but because they didn't have the right qualification at the time from their GCSEs, so they had to go. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Betty. So they had to go into redo their GCSEs. So yes, if an adult, but it depends on the level of what they need maths for, because in some cases or some subjects, some careers, the level of maths you need might not be up to GCSE levels, but those are very, very good resources. That physics and maths tutor thing, it's a free, fantastic resource. And the Maths Genie as well, it's a free online resource. Fantastic. The other ones, it's because like the Reading X I talked about and Atom Learning, I think because their subscription, you can track your child's progress and monitor their progress. It's the same with Conquer Maths as well. Conquer Maths would have a section for the child, and then it has a parent section. So in the parent section, you can set your child tasks or activities or some work to do. And you can put a deadline to when that child should do that task. And it would mark it for you. But it gets to a point because of the complexities within A-level GCSE kind of maths. But if your child gets the answer right, it would still mark it for them. There's a way it does that for you. So yes, so the Conquer Maths, you have a parent section where you can set your child work. So maybe they're going to get home before you, and you want to set them some work to do. Of course, bear in mind they've got school homework. So rather than say, instead of being teacher or co and saying you must do it today, just maybe give it a 3 days. But with all of this we've talked about, I would say, and this is something I did with my kids, before I put them on any of these things, I pretty much sold it to them and made sure they had ownership of it. Because if your children, buy the idea and they have ownership of it and subscribe to it, they would always go to it without you even having to sweat. You wouldn't even need to break a sweat for them to go. And when I say sell it to them, I'm not saying umbenwo, because sometimes people misjudge all of this conversation around having a conversation with your children. And when you want them to do it, you just need to tell them, oh, James, I found a really amazing website today. Do you know what I'm going to show you tomorrow? Tomorrow, I'll make time to show. It's an amazing website. You really are doing well at maths, but I think it would help you a lot better. So you've built that anticipation there. And then the next day you go, oh, remember what I told you about? Because Oh, you are entering them gradually. You know that, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's do it in 30 minutes. Let's get it done. I'll set it up. I'll get it ready for you in 30 minutes. But it's not that you say 30 minutes as a mommy and daddy, then you go and forget yourself and then, you know. So about 30 minutes, get them, because what you're doing is you're calming them down. You're bringing their brain to, that cool down of whatever they're doing, so that when you now talk to them, they're in that zone. You've got to remember they're humans as well, and they've got to shift their programming. So you say, okay, come on then, it's all set up. Come on, let's have a look. Let's have a look at reading next. Wow, I think this is beautiful. What do you think? Oh, you can do this. Start with something. Oh, you can do this, can't you? And when they buy into it, that's it. You've nailed it. You've got them where you want them, and they're committed to it. And it's the same with secondary, school. But with the Conquer Maths, I remember saying to my son, I said, let's try it for about 6 months. If you think it's below your level or it's not doing what you need to do, then let me know. And the reason I said that with my son was because when I looked at it, I thought it was not, I thought for A levels, my son was past that some of the things there. I thought it was, a bit below him. So we did a trial. We even sat together when he's done some work. And when I saw what he was getting, I said to him, okay, let's do it this way, And that's what we did. We just said, oh, do you know what? What do you think? And he said, oh, Mom, I think it's a bit below me. And I thought, do you know what? Checking tutor will different. That kind of thing. And when I get the tutors, I get tutors down on an exam board is on, or that knows his exam board. Because sometimes if every child is different. If your child is a bit fast, that thing might be a bit below them. And you don't want to just keep wasting money, And so that's, I think I've answered that. Do Kashimuti answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, guys. All right.
Maybe
Enjoy
something
the
like
rest of your
Omalo.
weekend, guys.
No. One more question. Can I
Let me speak to Kuman. Kudu, sorry, were you talking to me?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Sorry, miss. Go on.
I said you've been talking about secondary school at primary school. I only put 16 in advice.
Do you know what is crazy? My field is actually primary. Although I sit on a board that has secondary schools as well, but my biggest, thing is actually primary. It's crazy, isn't it? But I just have spoken, maybe because my children are university,
Okay.
Yeah. But my biggest work is primary and a little bit of secondary. But let me speak to Kuman. Now, everything I say here, I drop a caveat. Every child is different. You know your child the best. When I give any info on education, if I haven't spoken to you one-on-one, I'm only saying things that are generic and things that, works for everybody. So Kumon is an amazing, amazing tool. They have maths and they have English. I do not like their English. I never did. I tried it with my kids, but I got rid of it. The reason I didn't like their English was because it did not quite sit well with the UK education thing as such, one. And two, their reading comprehension. So with Kumon, you pay for the leaflets or whatever, and then, your child goes to the center or they do it from home. Now, they give you, as a parent,